Hey, dear Kenyans, today is October the 17th. It's Friday, and it is evening here in the United States of America. We've just finished a very hectic week, both here and even in Kenya. In Kenya, this week has been a sad one, occasioned by the passing of our father of democracy, Raila Amolo Odinga. Agwambo, may you rest in peace. I have decided to sit down and do this video before I go to my next shift because, ladies and gentlemen, those of you who don't work abroad, you need to understand that as we go from one shift of one kind of job to another one, and sometimes even a third one in 24 hours. But I decided to address you today because of the urgency of what I have to share with you. So here we go. The first thing I want to talk about is how we grieve. I wanted to give this advice or give my opinion before even Raila's body arrived in Kenya. But something told me to hold my horses. And I regret that I could have helped the inept internal security people who slept on the job that caused the mayhem we saw. That was disrespectful, that was without dignity, and that truly is not the way we mourn. No, 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 no. You can accuse me of being out of Africa for many years, but I can tell you that some of the ways the people were mourning were actually repugnant and outmoded. He is a man whom you loved, a man who has cherished order, a man who, during the time that AIDS was killing people, came out to the community and told the community that we don't know the nature of this disease. We don't know why it is spreading among us. And if it is because some of us have not been initiated through circumcision, because circumcision was the initiation, then we need to change our ways. He told the community that. He went out of the norm and he said, maybe we should do it. And we embraced circumcision. Some of us nowadays have our children circumcised. Nothing wrong with that. This is the man who also came out recently and said, ladies and gentlemen, we are dying on the roads. We are spending too much money in funerals, keeping the bodies in the morgues for too long. Preservation is expensive. Also, the amount of money that is used during the ceremonies is too much. People are traveling very far. Money is being wasted. Let's change our ways. Let's bury sooner, because we must go away from the culture that continues to make us wallow in poverty. He advised that. And therefore, we also say some of our dads, some of our ancestors die without leaving us a will, telling us what they would want to do during their time of meeting the ancestors. We criticized General Ogola for writing a will about how he was supposed to be buried. But we had to do it because that's his wish. If somebody dies without a wish, you want to do it for him. You want to decide what you want to do. Oh, you're going to say it's because of our culture and customs. But those may not be the wishes of the person who dies. Yes, I'm not going to fight culture. But when someone decides what they want to do, we need to respect it. So here is Raila Odinga saying his wish is to be buried within 72 hours. The plane arrives, and congratulations and bravo to the lady who flew that plane. I saw her picture. I forget her name, but look it out and give it up to her. The plane arrived safely, landing, carrying all those dignitaries. They had a plan. Don't say there was no plan. They had a plan. And then the people begin to block the road. Accessibilities they begin to block it. And it was too slow that if we went by what they wanted, I bet you that hearse or that carriage, gun carriage that was carrying the body of our hero was going to arrive in downtown CBD, maybe in 72 hours. And you want to say that is the normal morning? No, sir. No, ma'am. No, I disagree with you. And so I wanted to give that advice that I know our people. I know how they are. I wanted to give the authorities advice. Please boost security. Keep the people at bay. I don't care how many security personnel you are going to use, but keep the carriage moving so that you meet the timelines. But I guess the authorities probably decided that, yes, they're giving Raila the state funeral, but you know this, the quality of the state funeral. For instance, the outriders were not like the president. So he got less security, he got less policemen, he got less military personnel to guard the roads, to keep the peace, until they were overwhelmed. And yes, they changed the route and decided to take Raila from Nyayo Stadium to Kasarani. And by doing that, they actually jumped even from the frying pan into the fire, because Kasarani is in an area that is far more withdrawn from actually even where Raila supporters are. Nyayo Stadium is very close to the Langata constituency. Kasarani is where even those who infiltrated the funeral procession even got their way. And yes, I dare say that the funeral procession was infiltrated, because we don't mourn like that. We can dance, we can cry, but we will run along with the truck. This was orchestrated to cause mayhem, and it was to hoodwink the authorities to act rowdy. I support the firing of the tear gas in Kasarani to bring order, dignity, respect to the dearly departed, and to the family, and to the esteemed dignitaries who are going to be foreign visitors. We don't do that. We don't mourn like that, and we shouldn't, regardless of whoever has died. There must be order and respect of their body. You cannot say just because you love this person, now you're going to go pick him up from the coffin and you're going to be tossing him up and down because you're mourning. Stop that. No, no. We disagree. Let's agree to disagree, that there should be order in any way. So I wanted to give that advice, and then whatever happened, happened. I want to move on from there. Thank you for restoring security and giving Raila a dignified state's funeral service today at Nyayo Stadium and even in the Parliament buildings. Now I urge you, send even more security personnel to Kisumu and to Bondo. We must maintain dignity and respect so that we can lay Agwambu with honor for what he has done. We cannot desecrate the remains. We cannot defecate on the process of burying him. You wonder why some of the dignitaries did not come? There was a lot of those who sent their condolences. I had the deputy president reading their names. There were many. Those people could have flown into JKIA, and they could have been right there at the podium, at the funeral, to give Raila the funeral of honor that he deserved. But guess what? They act quick. They look at the security that is being offered. They cannot subject their presidents into that close of a mayhem. So they decided not to come. You can curse. You can say, oh, if they didn't want to come, then we don't want them either. But you're just being like the Sunguram Janja who looks at the zabibu that is ripe on the other side of the fence. And just because he cannot go across the fence, he says, hata hizo zabibu hazijaiva. Yeah, that's what you'd be. Because we did want dignitaries to come. We want them to visit us. We want Raila's funeral to be magnanimous, to be great, and it could have been greater. But what we did at the airport scared the heck out of some people, and they didn't come. Having said that, I want to advise President William Ruto. That was a security lapse. I've criticized the mourners, but now I want to criticize the government. You knew that Raila was liked by a lot of people. And you probably had a clue that we mourn in a spectacular way. You should have had more security personnel. And the failure to analyze that falls into your internal security personnel. For instance, tell me why the Internal Security Permanent Secretary, or CS, was in India. Why did they have to travel to India? It doesn't make sense. They needed to stay back, make the security arrangement dotted to the T, and only after this ceremony was over could they have sat back and relaxed. And because of that lapse, and because of the previous lapses that we have seen, the Gen Zs storming parliament, we saw the same security personnel, Mr. Kipchumba Murkomen, coming out and openly telling the police to shoot the people, and then retracting on that statement. Those are lapses that are significantly hurting the confidence of the Kenyan people on the internal security. So I don't have any ill will for Mr. Kipchumba Murkomen. I think that he can be used somewhere else. Because of what I'm about to tell you, I strongly advise that you look at picking up Oscar Sudi. I think his also name is Kipchumba. Oscar Kipchumba Sudi fits the position of internal security. He is a no-nonsense guy. He may just listen to his reasoning and see how he can do a better job in that docket. You can move Kipchumba Murkomen even to the position of CS for justice, if that is there. But he cannot handle spontaneous study of situation and come up with security arrangements. Perhaps that might even lapse on your own security. So think about that. All right, having said that, let me get to the reason why I have decided to make this video, because those are what has already happened. The reason I've made this video is because of the security risk that is prevailing. And forgive me, there are those who are of the school of thought that we must not begin to politicize or talk politics before we lay down our hero. Well, necessity dictates that I bring it up. Security, safety, peace dictates that I share my opinion. I don't know about you. I don't know whether you study things that are being said on the internet, but I do know that there is a lot of scheming that is set to happen immediately during Raila's funeral or immediately after. Tomorrow, when they're burying Raila, that process may be infiltrated in order for you to act crazy in Luo land, so that they hate you, so that they break the love or the broad-based government. How can you avoid that? Like I've suggested, keep the crowd at bay. Control the crowd. 100%. 100%. You can do it. And those of you who are saying, let me get back. Those of you who are saying, Dan, you come from the United States. You know the freedom of expression in the United States. Why would you be asking the government to be so tight on the freedom of assembly and of expression when folks need to express themselves while mourning? Yes, I'm in the United States, ladies and gentlemen. And you actually copy this constitution. You copy a lot of what the United States do. Every time you hear somebody saying, oh, in the United States, oh, in the United States. Let me tell you, my people, if George Bush Sr. had died and the mourners behaved the way it was happening in the JKIA, Lord have mercy. If mourners decide to disrupt an event of dignitaries, be they Democrats or Republicans, what will the police do? You can't fathom. This is the country where there is a lot of firearm, where police even kill you for simply reaching out to get your wallet when you're stopped on a speed citation. The police are quick. There is no issue about your rights here. If you act in a manner that causes a breach of peace and the police feels threatened, like we felt, those people were about to go with the body of Raila Odinga. Some took the gate of Parliament yesterday. There was nobody who could calm them down. There was nobody who could, many tried, but none could calm them down. In the end, I saw some taking the gate and going away with the gate. Ruto says they should have been shot on the legs. People who act like that, I say, should be shot on their ass, because that is not mourning. When you go to mourn and somebody is lying down there in a casket and they're with the police and the entourage is going, and you, kazi yako ni kungoa hii gate. And I dare say that's not the way the Luo mourn. We don't do that. So I beg your pardon for those who are saying that Ruto would be tough to keep the peace. If a few people die in the process because they actually acted stupid, you have the benefit to protest, to mourn, but maintain law and order. And if you can't maintain law and order, whatever needs to be done to prevent you from causing more deaths and causing more dishonor. How do you imagine the world would have looked at the television And so that the police has been overpowered and the casket or the body of the fallen Kenyan hero has been grabbed by the people and they're running up and down, tossing him up and down. How would you have behaved? How would you have felt as a Kenyan? Let me ask you even another way. Sisi wa Kenya ni watu wa kukimbia. We are sports people in rugby, in athletics. We pray that we will be that good in soccer. These sports and rugby, they are regulated. There are rules about them. We, the fans, go to cheer. We sing in the stand, but we are kept at bay. You can't get into the field. The moment the fans get into the field, guess what happens? They're penalized a lot of money. The country could even get banned from playing for several years. Therefore, imagine, just recently, we were at the World Athletics Championships. I was there cheering our team with my Orutu, and they won gold medals. Before the race, there is speculation that today Beatrice Chebet may break the world record. Today, Faith Kipyegon is going to run the 1,500 and she's going to aim to run it in less than 3.5 minutes. And we all happy. And our hearts are pumping that nobody is going to spike them. Nobody is going to spike them with the spike of the shoes they're running with. But here in America, we call spiking a drink. You know, you may go to a bar and when you go to the bathroom, you come back and somebody has put more alcohol in your drink so that you fall asleep at the bar and then they steal your money. How would you feel if those that are in those stadiums say that they are so excited they cannot wait to see Faith Kipyegon and they start storming the field and even the race that all these people have been... Do you know how it takes to be able to prepare for a marathon in Amsterdam or London or Berlin? Do you know what those athletes go through in order to be on form to run on that day? If that race is postponed, even by 20 minutes, that athlete's preparation will be interfered with significantly. And so, without being too much long-winded, if that's the case, that we want law and order in sports and in all these other things that bring us glory to Kenya, why would we want to desecrate the farewell ceremony of a person we love so much? Why would we want to do that? Je, huu ni ungwana? That you come, yes, you may have a flag, but you're rowdy. Your voice is up there, and you don't even want to listen. That is not mourning. That is being a hooligan. That is hooliganism. And we should not allow hooliganism in our national matters that the world is going to look back and see. And I bet you guys are not probably talking about it now, but come Monday or Tuesday, you will start analyzing and you will see where you went wrong. And those mourners who did that, if they can be identified, they should be charged for doing that. That's bad. So I finished that. I'm sorry I had to go back because it was just so much in my head. But let me come back to this other one now. There's a security threat. The security threat has come back. I want you to go back and think hard why Rigathi Gachagua was impeached on this day last year. Today is October the 17th. Rigathi Gachagua was not at the Nyayo Stadium. Whether he didn't go because he felt like he did not want to be put at the back where his speech is not going to be heard, because I've seen him complain already. That's not the issue. Rigathi Gachagua may have missed it because it fell on the anniversary of his impeachment. And he's feeling a little down. But guess what? I don't think those two are any of the reasons why Rigathi Gachagua did not attend. My counterintelligence is telling me that Rigathi Gachagua, having realized that Ruto's life support imezimwa, he is busy planning to disrupt the government. And he is using the laws that Ruto signed a couple of days ago as a reason to influence some Gen Zs so that they go on the streets as soon as Monday. And he may even be infiltrating the mourners in Kisumu and in Bondo so that they get mad at Ruto. So that when they say mass action on Monday, it will be under the disguise of fighting for those laws that Ruto has signed. That is what's coming on Monday, dear Mr. Ruto. Whereas you're going to Nyanza, you're going to the funeral, I want you to know that. Do not sleep on the job. If you have not, you will not have changed Kipchumba Murkomen by that time, I'm urging Oscar Kipchumba Sudi to start the necessary precaution to avoid mchafuko beginning on Monday. It will be bad. Now, I asked you to think about why Rigathi Gachagua was impeached. It wasn't an overnight thing. Look at Rigathi's history. Rigathi couldn't even take that oath properly. He couldn't even follow the instructions of the person who was swearing him in. And from the moment Rigathi took that oath, Rigathi began preaching hate. And Rigathi began acting hateful. Not only towards those who did not vote for Ruto, but even towards the retiring president. You saw what they did in the highlands or farmlands right there in Limuru or Kiambu. They were very mad that Ruto was trying to be the president of the whole nation. And to just imagine that Ruto was giving the goods, sharing the national treasures with everybody, riled Rigathi so bad. Because the hate that he had towards certain communities was too much. Then, despite that, here comes a spontaneous Gen Z revolution. And the Gen Zs were peaceful. They were formless. They were leaderless. They were tribeless. They were partyless. Until some point. Then they were infiltrated. And then poison was poured into their heads. They were told, go and take over parliament. Go and take over institutions that are protected places. It was bad influence on the young. It was bad for our national heritage. It was bad for our international image. And whatever happened, happened. And after that, Rigathi Gachagua was already antagonizing the president because instead of even supporting the action that the president took, Rigathi Gachagua ran to Mombasa and criticized the president after the president spoke. You saw it. I don't have to repeat all that. Kama nyinyi ni ngiri, munasahau haraka, mimi sijasahau. The reasons why Rigathi was impeached are good even today. And Rigathi was impeached by his own people. His own people impeached him. Then after they impeached him, he was left free to continue spewing the bile. And he's managed to convince almost all of the people in his area that he was unfairly evicted. If Rigathi was unfairly evicted, he should be in the court. He should be fighting for his rights. But yes, he may reason that impeachment is actually a political process. And he may be reasoning that bad politics or counter politics is what's going to bring him back. So he wants to do that. He wants to convince all the people who voted for him, against him, on his side. And therefore now that what he thought was the impediment to his goal has been eliminated, now he can do it. And he is wasting no time, Mr. Ruto. Rigathi is wasting no time. If you will sleep on the job, that is up to you. But there is no reason for you to make these significant mistakes again, because an organism that does not adapt to its environment faces extinction. You have had security lapses significantly. Don't let this one happen, because there is nobody right now in Luo Nyanza who can counter the revolution like one Raila Agwambo did. Last but not least, Raila hasn't been buried, but the politics or the debate as to who will fill his position has started in earnest. The press are looking. How did Junior do? How did Winnie do? How did Rosemary do? How did Miss Odinga do? How did Oburu Odinga speak? They're trying to see who could replace Raila. I want to tell you something. None of those people can replace Raila at this time. It will take a little bit to know. But I want to let you know something. Raila was the Agwambo because Raila was a consumer of intelligence and counterintelligence. Raila was a master of counterintelligence. And how did Raila get his intelligence and counterintelligence? I don't have to brag, but Raila listened to many people. Maybe you are one of them who he got intelligence from. Maybe I am the one who gave him some intelligence. Whatever it is, however Raila got that intelligence, he used it wisely and intelligently, and he applied it quickly, timely, and it benefited the country. I can attest here that Raila's use of intelligence was not necessarily to benefit his ego or his stomach or his family or his tribe. It was for country first. Country was bigger than anything else. And once he ruled out that country was not at risk, then he could entertain something. Is it good for my party? Is it good for my image? Is it something I should associate with? Country was first, and I dare say continent was also first. Raila loved Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, I am telling you that Kenya is at crossroads, and tomorrow will be the last day, not the last day, tomorrow is Saturday, but Sunday will be the last day before the forces that want to bring a radical change, radical and untimely change is going to happen. They're following on the natural misty that is blowing out in Sri Lanka, or is it Sri Lanka, and in Madagascar, and in other. They are hoping that Kenya started it and it will come to Kenya. Why? because Ruto is sharing resources with all the parts of the country, because Ruto is not denying some people their rights. We're all paying taxes. We're all Kenyans. So you cannot deny certain parts development. Take it to certain places. Now, I also want to say this in this jostle for who is going to replace Raila. I want to say this. I am disappointed that ODM has already given that responsibility to one Oburu Odinga. Oburu Odinga is not capable and qualified, or the person who can actually be the Agwambo. I know he's saying he's not trying to be, he's saying he'll try, but Oburu Odinga is the last person that you want to give such a role. Why? I will only give one example. In 2022, we were going to elections. Oburu Odinga was the one who said, we have always won these elections, but we did not have deep state. Now that we have deep state, why shouldn't we win? Now, on the surface, he looks like he's very innocent. But on the surface, if you look deeper, just having the promise of deep state made Oburu Odinga stop working for the win. If Oburu Odinga was the one in charge of doing things, it won't happen. It means that he cannot process intelligence and counterintelligence. He cannot do that. And if he's up there and he's that incapable or disabled, it means that there is going to be a lot of other people who's going to come in. And that's where infiltration will occur and manipulation. Therefore, I advise you guys, Ruto, play a role, and I know you are already, in deciding the direction of ODM. On the other hand, there are some other people. I've said here in the past, you need to look at those who are not necessarily obvious choices. I have said it elsewhere. Raila stopped the Gen Z revolution. And one way that Raila stopped the Gen Z revolution was through identification of one capable leader. And that leader was Kasmuel Makoure, a natural, somebody who we need to take a real look at, somebody who needs to be the next king of the Luo. But Ruto, you can be the next king of the Luo. You need to get in there and do your politics and decide who among them you can work with. Who knows? You may even go into the next election under the ODM ticket. Because if you cannot consolidate Nyanza, if you cannot consolidate that side, the desire to get back to power from this other side is overwhelming. And it is in earnest. And they will do whatever it takes now to continue the division, because like they said, ile ambayo ilikuwa wanasema inakusaidia ili usianguke, ilikuwa ni uko kwa ICU, and the life support was Raila. Ikizimwa, that's what they said. So imezimwa, whether imezimwa na Mungu ama imezimwa na binadamu, is neither here nor there. But Monday, they will begin to act. Do you have enough security to stop a revolution? Do you have the plans to stop a revolution? Is a revolution a good thing? If you think it's a good thing, then do nothing. But if you think it is not what Kenya deserves right now, where the dollar is 127, a revolution will make the dollar be Kenya shillings 500 or 1,000. A revolution will disrupt education, will disrupt the little healthcare you think you don't have. A revolution will disrupt national monuments, national institutions. A revolution will take us back probably all the way to when we started, because it takes a very long time to overcome a revolution and to get back where we were. I didn't mean to be this long, but it was urgent. I don't make these videos so that I make money. I don't make these videos so that I ask you to subscribe. That's not my intention. I am well taken care of when it comes to my income. The reason why I make this video is because of the love I have for peace and for the stability that Kenya is. I want there to be an airport when we land to come and visit. I want there to be people and friends and family and the tradition and the athletes and the runners and the animals and the food. Oh, the amazing food that Kenya has. I want us to be known the way we are known. Do you know that if it was even the Nigerian president who died abroad, do you know who would be flying them back home? A foreign airline. They don't even have a national airline. Yet they have all the oil, and they are one of the richest people, the richest countries in Africa. I'm not trying to criticize them, but I'm just trying to tell you that we are not that bad. And we don't have to destroy just because some people cannot wait for the next election. The next election is in 2027. Why plan a demonstration on Monday? Why plan a revolution on Monday? I say, mimi nimesema, kama umependa ile nimesema, asante. Share my video just for information purposes, so that tuwe ridho, so that tuwe na Kenya. Kama upendi ile nimesema, counter it with your opinion. Share, say where I have spoken wrong. Point out, say that you like what you saw at Kasarani when there was chaos. Forget about after the police threw the tear gas. Tell me you liked what you are seeing when the courage that was the Raila into Raj was stuck in Mombasa Road. Even the police tried to come up with a helicopter to rescue Agwambo's body, but they couldn't. Because you want to call that love? That wasn't love. Because Agwambo made it very clear he wanted to be buried within 72 hours. There was a program to do that. But these people wanted to disrupt it. Some are saying that, oh, give us time to talk to Raila's spirit so that he can forgive us, so that we can mourn him until day 30. That's just telling me that you cannot follow rules. And if you cannot follow rules, that's probably why you can't even vote right. You can't mobilize your campaign well, because it's about procedure and timeline and doing things right, safely, with dignity. Ay, jameni, nimesema. So, niwie radhi, lakini ni kwa sababu ya upendo wa Kenya. Tuendelee hivyo hivyo, tumsindikize Raila kesho, tumzike na heshima, na upendo, na amani. Alafu turudi, tuende kazi. Tujenge Kenya ili dola izidi kupunguka. labda hata siku moja itafika below 100, na tena ikifika hata below 70, hata nyinyi mtafurahia. Because when the shilling is stronger, Kenya is doing good. Jobs will come back. Things will happen. But if we keep doing what we're doing, muddying the water, then it will be harder. Asanteni. Mungu awabariki.